What's going on, people? How you doing? TK coming at you. Just want to hit you guys with the concept of financial literacy. I know that in the black community or with minorities, financial literacy is the major plague that just seems to escape. I mean, the plague is not having financial literacy. The concept of self-study is something that a lot of people just don't do. I mean, come on. A colleague of mine, a coworker said people don't read. And that's true. I mean, nowadays, I tell you what, you can always get a audio book on your Kindle and then download Kindle to your cell phone, because that allows a person with a college degree to actually read a book to you. And the way in which they read, it's, easy to understand. So if you struggle with reading, you can still get your favorite book on Kindle and listen to it. And if you listen to it while you sleep or while you drive, the subconscious hears the book, even if you don't. So financial literacy is the key to making different decisions economically and changing your life, because it gives you the power to understand our fiat fractional reserve banking system. And that's the biggest problem within society. I mean, okay, yes, the policymakers have negative monetary policy that definitely guides us in the wrong direction based on greed, selfishness, and an agenda. And I think their main agenda is just to fill their pockets. Their interests are focused on self and not public. So no conspiracy, just the fact that if someone doesn't have your best interests in mind, then the decisions that they make that affect you, well, so to change your life, to affect your personal economy, the one in your household, you have to have financial literacy and a basic understanding of fractional reserve banking so that you can make different decisions. A lot of people go to work, they get that dollar, and then they go spend that dollar. I was listening to a CEO of a bank, and she was a component of black banking and supporting black community. But she listed some numbers and was saying that, black dollars exist 6 hours within our community. The old statistics that I used to quote was it circulates on an average 2 times before it leaves our community, from your hands straight to the Jordan's hands. So that's the fact. The fact is that we have a problem. Our community has a problem. And it's based on the decisions that people in our community make, because you can affect your personal household. I try to encourage people when it comes to finances to get out of worshiping the dollar or worshiping paper. Everyone looks at money as paper, when paper is a negative liability, a currency that continuously loses value thanks to quantitative easing. I use the baseball card analogy because some people are sports fanatics and they relate to sports analogies. So if you have a limited baseball card that doesn't have much circulation, then okay, depending on the condition, it's worth a lot. But if you overprint that same baseball card and you put 1 million of them into circulation, it devalues what used to be limited. Okay, so that's what's taking place. That's what's taking place in terms of the dollar. The dollar and quantitative easing is the government's infusion of new money into the system when there's no need for it. There's no physical demand for the new money that's thrown into the system. So what happens is the existing dollars in people's what happens? They devalue. They don't have as much purchasing power. So I'm trying to get you to pick up a book or pick up an audiobook on Kindle. Start reading Inside the Fed. The book on how the Federal Reserve was created in Jekyll Island. Empowerment books in terms of how you think and the decisions that you make. All these things will help you. But television and focusing on distractions is not going to get you there. And I think that's the predominant thing that most people do in our society. Television and a lot of distractions is pretty much the only thing people care about, talk about, focus on. And it also affects their decisions, because what happens is you find yourself making decisions that are not beneficial to your financial future. And then you scratch your head and you wonder, I just can't seem to get ahead. Well, on top of making bad decisions, you also have negative monetary policies working against you. So you got the double whammy. And people just aren't doing the right things. So the first thing in financial literacy is understanding the paradigm shift. When I say that the way things have always worked don't always stay the same, and the issue is that people don't realize that things have changed. Think about what you've been taught. Paper money is the end-all be-all. Go to school, get a degree, get a good job in a corporate company, work in that company till you die, get a pension, live off your pension and your government retirement. Well, all of the negative monetary policies are against everything I just mentioned. So we've transitioned into a debt-based society where the promises that were held up in the 50s are no longer held up now. So once you get out of school with $100,000 in debt, guaranteed to find a good job. Once you get into a good company that's paying you what you consider to be a decent living wage for whatever area in which you live in, the cost of living in the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, then the average time on a corporate job is 3 years. I spent 3.5 years in corporate America before I got laid off. So the way that we've been taught to do things has shifted and changed, but people haven't adapted to the changes. And what happens is that the old way is propagated as if there is no change. And people are finding themselves struggling, they find themselves falling short, and they say, well, I'm just not doing the right things, or maybe I'm just not doing enough things. If you hit your head up against a brick wall, the brick wall doesn't say, oh, I feel sorry for your head. No. So what happens is people financially have to make the shift that the economy has already made. You know that the old way doesn't work anymore. So if you don't adjust to the new economy, then you're going to find yourself losing. And you don't adjust to the new monetary policies that you don't care about, don't pay attention to, you're always going to lose. Inflation and taxation is going to keep you under the cost of living, and your check just is not going to spend as far as you want it to spend, especially if you're basing everything on paper money. Paper money is what you worship, and you're not diversifying into tangible assets, and you're not building a decentralized asset bank. You're setting yourself up for failure. So everything I talk about involves sound money and decisions that empower your personal household, the finances that mean the most. So I'm just telling you guys to strengthen your decision-making process by reading. One of the traits of the super rich, the people who don't have the results that you have, one of their predominant traits is they are avid readers. Super rich people write things down physically in pen, and they're average or avid readers. So you have to emulate the tactics and strategies of the people who have what you want. It's obviously in your face. It's obvious that something they did worked because you see that they have something you want. So the next and final step is to emulate some of the things that they did so that you can reproduce those results.